Hello, all, welcome back. And today we are going to learn very, very important concept that is called context. Okay? Parsing data deeply with the help of context. What is context and what is the need of context? Okay, before entering into the context, first we should understand a simple problem, then how this context is going to solve that problem. Okay, so let's jump into the screen. So take some example. Suppose if we have this is the root component, right? What we are creating. Just a minute. This is the root component app, and suppose if we have two components, A and B, and B is a child of A. Suppose if you are maintaining the parent and child relationship like this, it's easy to communicate. Suppose if we have some state inside A, if you want to pass that information to B, easily with the help of props you can pass the information. Okay, and suppose right now we have a data. Second example, so but in the second example A and B are siblings and A and B are children to the app component. So in that situation, suppose if you have a information in the A component in the state, so it is not possible to send information like this. Okay, this is not possible. This is a very, very important thing we should understand. This is not possible. So what we need to do? Either we need to move this state completely to the common, like just lifting the state up. There is other beautiful concept is there. Suppose if you want information to share between the siblings, instead of storing state inside A or a B, it's better to move that state to a parent. That concept is called um, moving the or lifting the state up. Okay, that we can discuss again. So it's not the big thing. So instead of maintaining the state inside A, it's better to create a use state in a app component, and you can pass through props. This is one technique. Okay, so but you are not interested to move this state to a parent, but still you want to communicate between A and B. So at the time, what you can do, so there is another concept to call that with the help of methods as props. Okay, methods as props. Okay. With the help of methods as props, I will explain that in coming days. Don't worry. So we can pass the information from A to this app component. So suppose from if you want to pass information from parent to child, we know right with the help of props we can pass it. The same way, if you want to send information back from A to the parent, yes. So this app component will send a method as a property to A, and with the help of that method, you can pass this information from A to app. That is possible. Okay. So then you can pass that information to B again with the help of props. Of course, here also props only, but here you are passing a method as a prop to the children, and then whenever the children clicks on that button or event, whenever you trigger that method, so indirectly we can send information from A to app. So that I will explain with the help of example. So suppose if you send information from A to app and then from app to B, you can easily get the data with the help of prompts. Okay, this is a simple example, so here we don't have a too much problem. But here suppose, okay, we are going to build a complex applications, right? So at that time, suppose if this component tree is like this, suppose if you see, if I'm giving a some components name A, B, suppose here K, or suppose this is L. Okay, I'm just taking one example. Suppose if you want to communicate some information from this K to L, okay, simply it is not possible. Okay, directly you can't pass the information like this. This is not possible. So then what we need to do? Suppose if you want to take help of props, so how difficult is this? How difficult? So what you can do first of all, you should pass the information as method as props to this component. Then this component should send to this component should this app component, then through app to B and B to C or whatever it is, then next children, then next children. So it's very difficult. The path is very difficult, and writing code to maintain this kind of logic is also very difficult. So for that we have a solution. So if you see, this is not possible, right? And this is not possible. A to B, this is also not possible directly, and whatever it is. So only thing is, if you maintain the parent and children relationship, immediate parent and immediate child, so it's possible to have it with the props. Otherwise, you should drill down. Okay, normally we use, whenever you are reading the documentation, they will say that drill down the props. That means you are drilling the props from app to app component to B and then to C and C, D, E, F, G, H, like that. So that is very difficult. So to solve this problem, React is came up with a beautiful concept that is called context. So I hope you guys understood what is the problem here, and now we are going to understand the solution. So if you want, I can quickly show you, like I will create a component A and B and how to pass that. I think you know, right, how to pass the information from parent to child with the help of props. It's very simple. Okay, but here we can go with the context. So let's see. First, let's create. So here, to understand, I'm not going to take too many components. I want to make it very simple. So here, this is app component, and we can take A and we can take B. Okay. Otherwise, either we can go with this one. So slowly we can take a complex example. So to understand the fundamentals, we can go with the complex example. So we can test this one as well, and we can test at least this one. Okay. So without taking help of this, suppose this is app component, this is a root component for us, and this is A, and this is B. So either you can pass information from app to A to B through props. So without taking help of A, suppose if you want to send information directly from app to B, that is possible with the help of context. So here also, suppose app is there. So just imagine this is A, and of course you can go with this side AB, and this is a C, and okay. So if I want to pass some information from app to C or C to D or whatever it is, okay, like we can test it. Okay. Let's create some example. And here the simple thing is, okay, here we are going to maintain state um, commonly to all the components. So either you can attach this context onto the top level component so that it will be available for all the children. Otherwise, you can attach. This is very important. Suppose if you attach this context to this one, what will happen? This is available. This context information is available for this component. So if you attach to the top level, it will be available for the total. Okay, I hope it makes sense, right? So let's take some examples so that it's going to be very easy. So Let me add some components. Components. So I'm writing component A dot JSX quickly so that you can create a or you can forward for some, I think 1 minute or something. Otherwise, just do practice along with me so that you can learn quickly. The return, I'm just returning the JSX. I'm just putting some hyphen component and export default component. In a similar way, we should create 4 components so that we can be easy. So let me create another component b dot jsx. Just copy. This is very important concept. Of course, everything is important. Save it in a similar way. Just create another component called component c dot jsx. And the final one b dot jsx. Let's arrange them in a proper order. So the first we can go with this one, app E. And further, what we need to do? So first, just close this C and D. So if you import component A into app component, that means we are maintaining parental relationship, right? Parent and child. So component A. That's one step is done. Okay, now this component A is a part of app component. That means app is a parent and component is a children. Now, if you want to maintain parent and child relation between component A and B, what you need to do? We need to import component B from component B and use inside the component A. That means now we are maintaining parent and child relations. Okay. Even you want, okay, we can suppose if you want, suppose here, let's share the information between the components. Suppose here you want to maintain the statement, suppose constant the count, comma, set count or any information, the use state. Suppose here the value is 100 or 1000, let's say 1000. If you want to pass this information to component A, one way is just you can see like count equal to. That means you are passing information as a prop, Suppose right now, just you can say component A and component B, and component B is a part of component A. Component A is part of app component. So even if you want, just add some beautiful style so that it will make much more easy. So here component A. Here what we can do is component A can destructure that count and he can display it. So he is getting the same information from his parent and is able to read that information. Component A is reading information from app component. Now, suppose if you want to pass they say the same information to component B, again what you can do here, just suppose if you want to create with other prop, okay, fine. Suppose I'm just giving like this is as a money or CC equal to, because this component A is getting information in the form of cont property. So just pass to component B as well. And then component B, the property name is CC, right? CC. And here you can display the same information. So that the whatever the information we have in the component A, we are passing app component, we are passing it to component A, then component A is passing the same information to component B so that we can communicate like this. Okay, this is a natural way. So you are getting the information, same information. And if you change the information in app.js, suppose if you see, immediately it will reflect in all the places. Working, right? Agree. So here what we have done directly, we have passed the information from app component to A and A to B. But here, what we are going to learn, we are going to learn the concept of the context, and we are storing the state separately. And here, we no need to pass the information from A to B and app to A and A to B directly. Okay, without taking help of a props. Directly, we can pass information from this app component to B, that is from the context, and we are going to attach this context to app. So how we can do that? Now we can learn. Okay, please do practice. Okay, before that, please do practice of this one so that you will understand. Okay, even if you want, just add some beautiful CSS so that you will understand easily. Let me add that CSS so that you will understand better. So app component, I'm just adding style. Suppose background color, suppose green color, and component A. Let's just add, and suppose height. Suppose if you just add some different heights, so that you will understand whether it is a part of some different color. Component C, some different light. Okay, so this is like suppose if you give some more height for this parent component, height 800 pixel. Okay, so this is a parent component, and these two are children. So just add, I suppose, with some margin or something. Only you can understand margin and pixel or padding something. So if you see, this is part of this one. So it's better to add some padding as well. I don't think like it's a time waste process. Okay, understand it, because this these components are maintaining parent and child relationship. Just explain that one only. Now just jump into the topic. Still, this year is not good. You should add beautiful CSS so that you will understand much more better way. So now let's focus on the context. So how to create the context? Simply here, so this is the parent component, the root component where you want to add the context. The context. Okay. Or either you can create inside of the app.js file, but it's better to take a separate file and import it. That's going to be very, very cleaner approach. So I'm just creating, suppose the context name, what I'm giving like user context, because we need to pass the login user details to each and every component. Okay, any component in the component tree can read the user login details, login name, something you can display it. So here I'm just putting like user context. This is very important, context dot JS. Okay, it's not a JSX. So and you can go with the small letter as well. So just be careful. You don't give JSX because we are not writing any XML or a JSX here. Just it's a simple JavaScript file. And now, even if you do that, it is not going to throw any error because in app.js itself we can write JavaScript code. But whenever you have a clarity that we are not going to add any JSX, it's better to go with the JavaScript file. Now here, just create context constant. We are creating a user context equal to React dot create context. Suppose here, just import that one because we are using that import React from React. So maybe I have given a wrong spelling or something. REACT React. Yeah. So normally in modern React thing, we don't need to import in any file. No, it is expecting. So yeah. So normally, if you see in app.js, we didn't import React, but still it's working. No problem. Whenever it is required, just import the React from React library. So we have created a context actually. We have created a context. Okay. So here, suppose if you give a value 0, it will be a default value for this user context. So don't worry, it's also a state. So how we deal with the use state, this is also same. It will hold the information either a number or a string or a boolean or an object or an array or any theme, like a lot of things. It's simply like a use state, but it is a common state. That's it. So right now, if you want, you can store a 0 as a default value. But suppose if you don't provide any value, it will give this value. So here we should understand one important thing. So this context, whenever you create a context, it has a two important things. One is provider, another one is consumer. Okay, this is very, very important. So context have two major things, that is a provider and consumer. So with the help of provider, okay, provider, we can specify um, that context is we can attach this context to some parent component. Okay, so here if you want to add the context on top at top level, what we can do, so with the help of provider we can attach the context to this app component. Then that context will be available throughout the tree. And suppose the component L want to consume the information which is there in the context. At the time, we are going to take help from consumer. Okay, got it? Okay, here, suppose if you want to take the same information from component called K, here also consumer, because the context is providing two things, provider and consumer. So user context dot provider, you can provide the information to any top level component, and then all the children's, suppose if you want to access information from this context, we need to take help of consumer. Okay, right now don't worry, it's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. So once we implement, you will understand easily. So here user context is there. Simply just export it. Export it so that anyone can use it. So user context. Suppose here I'm not exporting with export default. That's why you need to import in a proper way. So I want to give that context on top of a root component that is called app. So that I'm just importing import because I didn't export as a default. Okay, if you want, you can export as a default, but for learning purpose, okay, here what is that? In the components tree, and where is that? Where is that? User context. So after I have given a same name, so user context. That's fine. So you have created a context in a separate file, and right now you have imported. That's it. So now what we need to do first? So we are taking this example, simple example, right? So what you can do, you can attach this context to the app component so that this context will be available for all the children inside this app component. So right now we have two children, that is A, and B is a child of A, and without taking help of this props, we can consume the information from the context. Suppose if you attach that provide to that app component with the help of a provider. That's right. Simple. So user context. Now what we need to do? So I'm just removing all these unnecessary things, colors and all those things to make it easy. Okay. Save it. And component A, I'm just removing this one. Okay. That I hope you understood already. So I want to make it simple and clean. Save it. So because the information already we understand with the help of props, we can pass it to our children. And component B also, I'm just removing this one. Just make it simple. App.js. So here, the most important thing is how to attach a context to a root component or any root component. So here it's very simple. So this is what you have written. We are returning, right? This is what app component. So before returning, just wrap this user context to this component. So how to do that? So just I'm writing. So user context dot provider. Okay, and just move whatever you want to return. So this is what the wrapping. So previously we are returning simply a div. Inside we have a component A. So you can do that. Okay, no problem. The only thing is just wrap this user context dot provider because we understand, right? Two things are there. One is provider and one is a consumer. So you should attach the context to a root level. Suppose here we have taken example that app. This is the simple one. So with the help of provider, we can attach the context to here. So here the most important thing, another one is a value. So what are the value you want to give? Suppose here it's like a state. Whether you can go with the numbers, anything. But already we understand that we have a default value. Suppose if you don't provide any value, by default it will take this value as a zero. Don't provide any value, by default it will take this as a default value. But you should provide some value, right? Suppose I'm just providing some value. Suppose this is a user context. So user context, it's better to go with a string, right? So if you don't have any user, you can write some guest. That's it. And here, once you logged in, you can get that user details and you can So if you want to go with a string, no problem. Right now we can deal with the string. So user is just give it your name. So I'm just giving no, no problem. Okay. So that now I'm not going to pass this information to component A through props or component A to component B through props. Nothing. So right now we have only two level. Just imagine you have 100 levels or you have this much of tree. Doesn't matter. Okay, the logic is same. So suppose this is component A. In component A, I don't want to use the details. I don't want. So directly I want to use that information in the component B. So this is awesome. So now again, if you want to use it, first you should import that context from user context. So here that is user simple. So now here we understand that context is providing two things. One is context provider, another one is a consumer. So previously before introduction of the hooks, suppose React version 16.8, before that we don't have a concept called hooks. So at the time we are using this consumer to consume the information from a context. But here we have a beautiful concept, beautiful hook that is called use hook. Okay, if you use hook, okay, it will work on behalf of a consumer, and it is very simple. Okay, right now we can understand how to deal with the use hook, and of course I will show you uh, how to deal with the consumer as well. Okay, because anyway we are not going to use a consumer whenever we are dealing with a class functional components. Hooks are very important. So now this is very important. So if you see what we need to do, so whatever the value or information you stored in this context, this is the user context for now as user context. So you want to get the information which is there in the user context, either B, or if you have a patience, just implement this component tree and try it out. So provider, and if you want to consume that information, K or L or any low level components, okay, low level tree. So how to deal with? It's very simple. So again, just import the use hook as well. Use hook from React. So import use use context from React. It's better to import these things prior to normal inputs. Okay, the order. Right now, don't worry why I changed the order. You can give any order for now. So here simply you need what is the value there in the context, right? So here you can say what is the context value. Otherwise you can say value simple. What is the information is there in that context? Simple. Use context and just mention the context name. What is the context name? User context. That's it. This is a consumer because you are consuming the information from the context. So whenever you use this use context is the another hook, like how we understand the use state and use effect. This is the third and super important hook. So here just mention the, the context name. Okay, right now it is a user context. So if you give that name, okay, he will go and bring the information which is there in that context and it give it to you. That's simple. Now you can just display what is the value. Okay, ready. We have done what we have done. We have created a context and we have attached that context to the app component. And now without passing information from A app to A and A to B. We are not doing this. We are not doing this. Directly with the help of use context, this B is able to get the information from the context. This context is attached to app. So now see whether we are able to display information or not. It's working. It is working. Because if you see, we didn't pass the information to A, directly we got the information to B. So the same thing you can implement with n number of components. So just create 10 or 15 components and just arrange them in this order and try. The logic is same. So just attach the context to the top level component, and then in any child component directly you can import that context, and with the help of on use context you can consume the information. This is very very simple, and you can see that, Raghu, what is the need of just doing all these things. I will tell you the real time example. So if you see, just go to the Amazon. You see here, this information, like cart information is there. This cart information we are maintaining in the context. Of course, we have another beautiful concept called Redux, because Redux is like it is providing much more features than context. That's it. But conceptually, both are same. So if because you can go to any product like iPhone 14, iPhone 14, and you can go to that product, and whenever you click on that add to cart, what is happening? It is storing the information in the common place, right? And again, if you go to the checkout page or any other page, wherever you go, you will able to see this information. That means once you store the information in the context, common place, and you can read that information from anywhere in your application. Because this Amazon is like maybe 1,000 components, or more than 1,000 components are there, but they are maintaining the information in the context or the Redux. Both are same conceptually. So then you can use it. This is the real-time example. So yes, we are going to implement. Okay, so because I think 2 days back we understand that how to design the product listing page. And once you done a practice of how to use context, and another concept is called there, that is reducer. Once you understand that, we are going to build Amazon the next level. So already product listing is there, and we can implement the add to cart. If you click on add to cart, add to cart, we are going to store the information in the common place, and that from that place we can read information from any component in the component tree. I hope you guys understood. So first do practice, and after that if you didn't understand, just let me know. Definitely I will help you. So here, this one I done. I did this one. So the assignment is for you is this simple one. This is simple. So just create a component A, component B, component C, component D. Of course, already we have created the component. Just arrange them in this tree format, and just attach this user context. So already we have attached this user context to the app component, and just try whether you are able to consume that information from D or C or something. So the next level, this one. Okay, I hope you will do practice. And one thing I need to mention that, so this use context hook, before use context hook, so we have a consumer, right? So how it was working? Okay, I will show you here. Simply just go through the documentation. It's very very simple. This is context.provider. So if you see, this is the syntax for that. Simple. User context dot consumer. Okay, let me explain that as well, because this syntax is somewhat difficult. That's why I didn't practice that one. So don't worry. So it's written. So instead of that, instead of this div, what I'm doing, just comment it. So here, what is the context for us? User context, right? User context dot consumer, user context dot consumer. This is a simple syntax. Okay, for if you have one context, it's not a big deal. Simple. This is like just arrow function. Okay, I will show you. So user context dot consumer, we are wrapping, right? So how we have done a wrapping for a context provider. This also same user context dot consumer. In between here, just go with the arrow function. Okay. So this is like here, just comment this one. Here the value, right? Whatever the value is there. And you will get that value because if you use this arrow function, then only you can access it. So then you can add some h1 tag. This is component B, and you want to display that value. So if you right now you don't need of uh, using the use context for use context. That's fine. So let's see. Still, it should work. It's not working. I think I did some mistake. That's a problem with this syntax. No problem. No problem. Add a mark the function this. Just putting like this. So syntax is very important. That's why yeah, it's working. The only the mistake is from syntax side. Oh, yes, this is very tough because right now we have only one context. Okay, this is simple. Okay, one context is simple. Suppose I will show you one more time. So what we are doing, just add a so you want to embed some JavaScript, right? Just add arrow again. Just give a same thing. Here this is a value, and then add your JSX. Here right from B and just because you are getting this value as a parameter, so just display that. So both the ways. Right now in 2023, no one is using this context provider unless until you are working with the class-based components. So no one is using, but why we need to break our head with this complex syntax? Because right now we have only one context. Suppose if you have a multiple context, how to deal with all those things, we are going to learn in the next session. A lot of things we need to discuss. Once we are familiar with use state and the use effect already done, use context we are learning another super important concept that is called use reducer. Like, slowly we are entering into the redux topics, and once we learn all these things, so we are going to implement the cart Amazon. Once it is done, like almost we are ready to attend to this. You are ready. So these are the bare minimum fundamentals every React developer should know. Once you learn the use reducer, um, you're absolutely eligible to attend the interviews. So, okay, I hope you will do practice and once you understand, just ping in the comment section or just click on that like button. At least I can understand that how many people are doing practice for that only. Okay, thank you and see you in the next session. Bye bye. And one more thing, this is the 50th session. So we have done 50 sessions on React.js. I hope we will reach 100 sessions very soon.